There we go. There we go. So I think for about 2 minutes there, I was in the dark. I'm also going to check now that I'm coming through on my phone, guys, because that would have been bad if I'd done this entire live and no one was even able to see me. There we go. There I am. Okay. So I was just saying, it's been one of those days where, when you put the washing machine on at 2 and then you don't get up from your laptop again at until 7, and then you get up and you realize you haven't unpacked the washing machine and it's full of laundry that now smells like it was washed 5 hours ago. Yeah, that's the day I've had, and it's good because I'm super busy and I'm really, really happy, but it's been a day. Thank you so much for being with me. I am so thrilled to be back. It's been an incredible time of being at home in South Africa with my family, which I completely loved. I had the most wonderful time, but it also means that I didn't go live for a few weeks, probably even closer to a month, hey? And that's bad. But I had a really wonderful time in South Africa, and we had no red list problems, and I saw my nephews, and I basically just inhaled them for a month, and that was really wonderful. And now I'm back, and I'm so happy to be here. So hi guys, how's it going? Drop me a comment, tell me where you are watching from, if you're watching live, and if you're not watching live, that's also totally fine. When you do watch, if you do watch, drop me a comment and tell me where you are in the world. I would love to know. I was actually on a live earlier and there were people all over America watching, and that was really exciting. So I just love to know where people are coming from. So amazing. My name is Ashley. If you don't know me, my name is Ashley. I run the story team. We are a copywriting business based in London, but we work with people all over the world. And tonight I wanted to talk about resilience because it is something that is very close to my heart and something that I think a lot of people have but don't sometimes know how to access, and some people don't have, and that's also okay, because I think resilience is built, and I think that you can learn how to grow it and how to get more confident with it. But the funny thing about resilience is something I'll tell you right at the end of this live. And it's actually something that's a little bit sort of, it freaks me out a little bit about resilience. But we'll get to that. I think this is a really important thing to talk about right now, because I think a lot of us are very tired. Yes, it's the beginning of the year, but we've just come out of a pandemic. We have a lot going on. We have a ton of things on our shoulders. A lot of us have started new businesses. A lot of us have started new jobs. A lot of us are in jobs that we hate and that we want to leave. A lot of us are trying to scale our businesses. There is just a lot going on. And then, of course, there is all the stuff that is not part of the business, like the running of the house and the marriage and the cars and the animals and the kids. Because I know a lot of you have children, and children, I think, I mean, I've just been with my sister for a month and she has 2 boys. I mean, I adore them. They are my heart beating outside of my body. But wow, that was a lot. It was a lot of responsibility. It's very demanding. They want your attention all the time. There's always something going on, like nonstop, always something going on. So moms, man, you're amazing. And so I am interested in this time as women, particularly because, as you know, I'm very passionate about women and uplifting women and helping women to just get stronger and be better. I am really interested in this idea of resilience and how we can leverage it to make our lives a little bit easier. And goodness knows, if we can make our lives just a little bit easier, we'll will be on a whole new path, which is really exciting. So how do you stay strong? How do you build that resilience? And why now? I mean, I think we are in a very crazy time, and there is a lot of burnout. So I've been putting together blogs and a signature talk that I'm busy working on at the moment. And what I'm realizing is that women are incredibly burnt out, and we are tired, and we're tired from a lot. So, there is the motherhood thing, there is looking after the house and our loved ones and our businesses. But there's also just, for me, I feel like this constant need to prove myself, to work on myself, to build my confidence, to charge what I'm worth, to say to people, I am a flippin' amazing copywriter and your business needs me. Like, that stuff is really hard. And I'm always trying to find out ways that I can build that, and that I can make myself stronger, so that when I have those conversations, they just happen more easily, and I'm not always second guessing myself. So I feel like that is one of the reasons why right now resilience is something that we really, really need to focus on as women. And there will always be obstacles to this. So I think resilience is a tricky thing to look at, because it's intangible. Like, we can't see it, and we can't feel it, and we can't smell it. And so even in me putting together some notes for this live, I was thinking, like, but how do you even tackle this idea of resilience when it's not something that I can't draw a diagram and go, okay, this is what resilience looks like, and this is how it works, and this is how we build it. All I can do is talk to you about my experience and my life, and how I have built resilience in my life, and how I use it when times, get tough and get difficult. So that's what I want to chat a little bit about. So I think that's the first obstacle to resilience, is that it isn't tangible, and it is a very sort of ethereal concept. And how do we harness it and understand it? The second thing is that some of us don't even really know what resilience is. Like, what is the definition of resilience? Another obstacle, I think, is that we think that it's something that we can only find inside of us. But I don't think that that's necessarily true. I think that resilience can be found in other people, and we'll get to that. And I also think that resilience becomes problematic when we are not willing to be vulnerable with other people and talk to them about the things that we are struggling with. And I know for a lot of women that we have to hold it together, and we have to be strong, and we have to be the ones who are always in control. And often that then means that we're sort of working so hard to keep it together that we're not actually just saying, holy shit, I am tired, or I am struggling, or I am freaking out, or I am anxious, or I need a break. And really just then going inwards and looking at how we can go into our resilience reserves, that's a tongue twister, and use them to get stronger. So I wanted to share my story with you, a little bit of my story. And I've written a couple of blogs about this, and I will post them in the comments when I'm done. But I wanted to share these stories with you in a live setting, because I feel like these were the things that really built resilience for me in my life. And they are the things that I go back to and I access when I am like going, whoa, I am tired. I can't do this anymore. I need help. So the first thing that happened to me, which some of you might know and some of you might not know, is that I grew up as an adult child of an alcoholic. My father was an alcoholic. My father started having blackouts when I was 12. And the blackouts really were actually the last in line of a series of really sort of messed up stuff that went on. And one of the things that went on that was just quite horrific was that my father had stopped paying a lot of the bills, and my mother didn't know because, I think a lot of us have this experience of our generation. Our fathers worked and our mothers looked after the house, right? And our mothers looked after the kids, and yeah, they did the domestic thing, and the fathers were out working. And so my mom had no control over the finances and realized incredibly late that my father had stopped paying the bills. And that sort of spiraled completely out of control to the point where we had to sell our house to pay this electricity bill that we owed, particularly. And we sold our cars, we sold our stuff. My parents lost the education policies, they lost the savings, they lost everything. That we lost everything. Like we had nothing. And we moved into a cottage on a plot in Johannesburg, and my two sisters and I shared a room until we were all in sort of our early 20s, and then we managed to leave. And we were in the absolute pits of hell, just living off of secondhand food from the nursery school that my mom had to start working at because we needed to bring in money. We wore secondhand clothes, we wore secondhand school uniforms, we got secondhand books. At one point, my friend bought us groceries because we had no food. She was a university student, so this was when I started in university. I was about 19. And my father really went into a state of incredibly deep, dark clinical depression and didn't leave his bed for years. And so it was a really rough time because my mom was working all day. I had to get several jobs to put myself through university and to pay rent and to pay petrol, and study at the same time. And while I absolutely acknowledge the privilege that I had as a white South African growing up during that time, and I was fortunate enough to be able to go to university and a good school, I also had to take out a student loan, which took me 10 years to pay back. And I had to really, really work incredibly hard to find a way out of this very difficult financial situation, but also this situation where my parents were so miserable and so unhappy and so desperate. And my mother in particular was just at the end of her tether and had 3 children to bring up. And just, it really affected her, and that in turn really affected us. So that was the first thing that happened. The second thing that happened was that I was bullied at school like really nobody's business by girls and boys. I was shoved, I was pushed, I was kicked, I was called names. I was, I didn't have. I was at quite an affluent school, but I was on a bursary, so we didn't drive the kind of car that everyone else was driving, and we didn't live in the same area. So I was the poor kid who, it was hard, and the bullying went on for a really long time. I think I was a difficult kid. I think I did rub people up the wrong way. I got on much better with the teachers than I did with kids of my own age. Which incidentally is a result of being an adult child of an alcoholic, I since learned. And yeah, I was bullied. Like I was bullied quite chronically, and I was very, very, very unhappy. So my hair fell out. I was underweight. I didn't eat properly. I had no social life to speak of right up until I was in my early 20s. So I was very much at home. I got into relationships with the wrong kind of men, which was incredibly painful. Married the wrong kind of man, which was incredibly painful. Withstood years and years of emotional and mental abuse in my first marriage, and was very sad and lacked confidence in a very big way. And I'm just sorting out my top. And all of that built a kind of resilience in me that I don't think I realized was building, but it was. And I managed to very slowly but surely pull myself out of that, and pull myself out of that marriage as well, and find work that I loved. And I started to make money, and I started to surround myself with people who were very successful, but also very smart and nurturing and kind and warm and generous. And so I had built up this resilience, and I knew that I was using it sort of in areas in my life that I struggled with since then. So like in business, not business, but in work situations, like employment situations, or relationships that I got into, and arguments that I had, and just things that I had to deal with, like being human, right? And so I did have this resilience from those experiences that I'd had. And then the biggie of my last sort of 5 years was that me and my husband and I made the decision to move to London. And we moved from South Africa to London in 2019. And within 8 months, we had been locked down because of COVID. And I remember sitting in this house, in this tiny house in London, thinking, I've just made the biggest mistake of my life. I have moved to this country. I don't know anyone. I lost my job because with COVID, so many people lost their jobs. And I was like, how am I going to make this work as a foreigner with South African rands, which are worth basically nothing here, and no job? Like, what am I going to do? And I don't know what happened, but this resilience kicked in, and I was just like, this cannot fail. Like, failure here is not an option. I have to make this work. I can't go home because I can't get on a plane. I'm not allowed to. I have to make this work. So I just searched for jobs. Like, I searched for any job that I could get. And the job that I managed to get was as a care worker here in London, which I applied for, did the first interview, trained for, got the job, started the job. And at the same time, I knew that that wasn't going to be a long-term solution for me, because that's just not who I was, and I knew that. And I started building my business at the exact same time. And I started my business by building a website, finding a few clients on Facebook, putting together a portfolio and a CV and a cover letter, and just like going. So within a few months of starting the care work, I had a few clients. And so I was doing the care work all day, working with people with vascular dementia and Alzheimer's, and in various states of decay, whether physical, emotional, mental, or psychological, people who couldn't walk or move, people who couldn't go to the toilet by themselves, people who couldn't feed themselves or wash themselves or dress themselves. And I was working with these people all day at their homes as a private carer. And then in between my shifts, I was sitting in my car in the freezing cold British winter in a parking lot of a park, with the engine running so that the heater was on me, and I was working on my business. And I don't think I've ever been so tired in my whole entire life, like mentally tired, emotionally tired, physically, absolutely, completely shattered, like working, I don't know, 18-hour days on this care job, because there were these people relying on me and because I needed the money, and on my business, which I had to grow from nothing and just grow into what it is now, which is this beautiful, beautiful thing that I love and I'm so grateful for. And so the thing I think that I did, and the thing that I want to share with you now, is that the resilience is either there or it isn't there. And if you have been through experiences in your life that have been really hard and challenging, where you just didn't think you'd get through it, but you did get through it, and you survived and you came out on top, that builds resilience. And those resilience reserves are in you, and you have to find them, and you have to know that they are there, and you have to think about those times that you went through and remember them, and know you got through them, and know that you will get through this. That's what resilience is for me. And if you don't have resilience, because I think some people who haven't had a lot of really tough stuff happen to them in their lives have less resilience. I think you can build it, and I think you can grow it. But this is the thing, and this is the thing I was talking about when I started. You can only build resilience when you go through shit. You can only build resilience in times that are shit. And that's really hard, because we don't want to be in shit times. We want to be in good times. I want to be in good times all the time, but that's not possible. And so in those really rough times, you have to have this knowledge or this sense of awareness that this tough time is building something strong in you that you will always be able to hold on to. It will always be in there. You will always be able to access it for the next shit time. Because the next shit time, it is a coming. As sure as this bottle is full of water, that shit time is coming. And you will use what is happening in this shit time and the strength you're building in this shit time for the next one. So that's what I have to say about that. The other things that I think are so important that you can do are surround yourself with a strong network, strong people who make you feel strong and who love you and who are honest with you and who love you for who you are, even when you're too loud and you swear too much and you get too angry about things that happen that maybe you shouldn't get so angry about. Surround yourself with those people and lean on them and ask them for help and tell them how you're feeling, and then be there when they need you. That's really, really important. And then I think two other things: learn from your mistakes. So analyze them, question them. I'm working with this incredible client at the moment. Her name is Katie Anderson, and she's a lean leadership coach. And I've just written some copy for her about how to make the invisible visible. Katie, I hope it's okay that I'm paraphrasing your work, but when you become aware of mistakes you've made and assumptions that you have about things, if you really rigorously interrogate that stuff, then you can take actions where you may not make that same mistake again. And I think that is part of resilience as well, is learning from your mistakes. So something really bad happened. It felt really terrible. It was challenging. It was hard. What was my role in that? How did I contribute to that? And how can I avoid doing that again? And so that's what I'm learning from my wonderful clients, which I'm incredibly grateful for. And you can find her on kbjanderson.com. Just plugging my clients. Yeah, and find out more about that, because that is something that I think is really powerful and interesting, and I need to think about a lot more. And the last thing is go slowly. Go slowly. I make my biggest mistakes when I'm in a rush. I make my biggest mistakes when I'm sort of frazzled and I'm not thinking clearly and I'm just in a rush, and I want to get something done, or I want to have that conversation, or I want to get my points across, and I'm just like a bull in a china shop. And when I slow down and I'm methodical and I just move from one thing to the next and I do one thing at a time, I get perspective, I feel calm, I feel more confident, and I feel stronger. And I think that for me is resilience as well. So I hope this has been helpful. I love these lives. I love talking with you. I would love to know if you watched, what you got from this, what you learned, what do you disagree with? Am I talking total shit? Tell me everything. I'm an open book. I just want to have these conversations. I think that they're so important, particularly for women to be having. I would love to connect with you. So please connect with me on LinkedIn if you're not a connection already. Send me a message and tell me if this helped in any way, or let's just continue the conversation in my inbox. Look out for the blog. I'm going to actually post this blog right now in the comments about this idea of resilience and what it means to me. Because I really think that it's important that we all think about this, and we think about it honestly, and we build ourselves up. And that's what I'm about. I just want to build up myself and other women all the time. That is what I'm most passionate about. So thank you so much. Have a beautiful day wherever you are in the world. It is 8 p.m. in London. I'm going to go grocery shopping because I have discovered some new very healthy vegan menus that I need to learn how to cook, because I'm eating too much fattening, unhealthy vegan food, and that has to stop today. Okay. Have a beautiful day. Bye.